for example, occurs every hour like this. Please, I'll mute. Next. Here, for example, start trigger on creation. Click OK. This is not available in ADM. Starting trigger on execution. If you remember, the incremental loads or files last week, last class, I was mentioning multiple times. I was repeating the statement. It's only scheduled to run every 24 hours or 12 hours. And the first execution would be after that 12 hours or 24 hours timeline. It's not immediate. So that's the reason we executed the pipeline manually. You remember that? We executed the pipeline manually. Whereas here, in this case, your requirement simply wanted to schedule the pipeline. Start trigger on creation, click OK. No parameters, click OK like this. Once we get this trigger created, now remember, very important, the same trigger can be reused for other pipelines also. Trigger is like a job schedule. Trigger is just like a job schedule. Okay, so we got a trigger now for one particular pipeline. We'll understand how to reuse this trigger for other pipelines as well. Before that, where is this trigger definition accessible? Because I said it's a reusable component. Yes, earlier classes, if you remember, I just published it. Earlier classes, if you remember, we have something called manage button IRs, right? Above that, we have triggers. Whatever triggers we create or schedules you create will be available here. Trigger, we can delete the trigger if you wanted to. And related one pipeline is using the trigger. Same trigger, we can again use it for scheduling another pipeline also. Remember that. Go back to pipeline. Go back to pipeline, and here, how to create a new trigger again? Click edit. One means right now there is one trigger. Leave it as per the schedule or trigger now. It's up to you. Leave it as per the schedule or trigger now. You remember, friends, how to monitor the trigger. We can go to monitor button and click on monitor button, and here it says the trigger is in progress. I mean, the pipeline execution is in progress. Well, what we are learning now, observe carefully. Firstly, from Azure portal, you do these steps. Azure portal, Azure SQL Server, Azure SQL Database, and install the source table script from Synapse Studio. What we do? Dedicated SQL pool. Then develop option, install the sync script. Then next, create pipeline and copy data activity source Azure SQL database sync dedicated SQL pool. And method, it is upset. Staging can be with tempdb. Next, what else? We have something called as DIUs and DOCP. Optional, we can have logging and additional staging also we can do. Then comes triggers. Nothing but the schedule, publish, verify, linked services. Total 2 linked services, right? One for source and sync. Data sets 2 and triggers 1. Then what next? Leave it as per schedule or trigger now. Go to monitor.